Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. Joining me today is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
In a previous episode, we were talking about the Dynamite holiday remix. And then I said at the time, maybe BTS should put together a Christmas album. So then a couple of days later, I posted on Instagram this hypothetical BTS Christmas album and track list with songs that I thought was going to fit their style. And it was all covers of some of the better Christmas songs.
Uh-huh.
And so then hours after I posted that, Jimin uploads Christmas Love, and then later that day V posted Snowflower. So I just thought that was really crazy timing that BTS posted some original Christmas songs right after I'm in the mindset of a BTS Christmas album. So for these two songs, I'm glad that they are encouraging members of BTS to create their own songs, because I feel like we got a lot of solo songs this year, and it seemed like before it was just the rap line that was interested in production of solo songs, but they all have the skills to do this, and this kind of thing just gets the members more invested in the group when they have a personal contribution. And I think a lot of times when there's groups that don't stay together, it's because one person or more, they don't feel like they have a voice in the group, or they're not able to express themselves creatively. So I think BTS is good with letting everybody have a say in it and having these solo projects. And I think the B era has also been really good about encouraging them to use this extra time to work on their creative pursuits. So Christmas Love was written by Slow Rabbit, RM, and Jimin, and I thought it was a pretty good song. It's a song I remember after listening to it only a couple times. So it's kind of about remembering old times and previous Christmases and enjoying the snowfall like it's the first time. And I feel like K-pop songs, they often mention the snow, and I guess in South Korea they probably get a lot of snow, so that's something that they would mention.
I don't think they get a lot of snow.
Isn't it cold over there? Like in winter?
I mean, there's cold parts. I don't know. I have not been there. I don't think they get a lot of snow. No, maybe they do.
Or maybe it's rare enough that it's exciting when you see it.
Well, it's a big enough country.
Christmas time.
So I'm sure. They weren't that remarkable to me, but it's hard to make a Christmas song that sticks. I don't know. There's just this strange standard, but either it becomes a Christmas song and then it's played forever and ever, or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then it's just nobody cares about it. And very few Christmas songs stick, which I suppose might be a good thing, because otherwise there'd be so many over the years.
I think it's difficult because with Western Christmas songs, there's only so many things that people talk about. It's like snow, Santa, gifts, and they kind of talk about the same things. But
well, I mean, of course it's going to talk about the same thing. I don't know. It has to be very, very catchy, A song has to be super catchy. Otherwise, it just cannot be a Christmas song.
I think K-pop Christmas songs, they can come at it from a different angle. And so maybe they can word things in a more unique ways than we've heard before. So I think that's why I like these two songs, because it had some very different types of lyrics. It's not just obvious stuff. It sounded more poetic somehow. And maybe that's the RM influence, or, V's influence. V's song sounded very his style. It's blue and gray. It was very similar to that. So his song was more of a jazzy acoustic kind of song. And he wrote that with his friend, who's a musician named Peak Boy. And they are the only two writers on there. So he didn't use big hit people with it. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. He just did it, just him and his friend. I think it's very easy to make a Christmas song that's overproduced too. So the fact that this was just mostly acoustic, it really fit with the style of B. So I think that made it me think he was writing this at the same time as he was writing Blue and Gray for the album. And they both had a note that they wrote about why they wrote these songs. It was kind of basically the same thing to kind of lift people's spirits during this time of the holidays, and we're all still dealing with the pandemic and all that. So I think that was a nice surprise to see this week, and I thought they were two good songs. I would listen to them. And then also this week, Nayeon from Twice released a cover of Love Is Everything, which is a Ariana Grande song from one of her previous Christmas albums, and she had a video with it as well, and it's very vintage, like home video kind of style, and showing her celebrating Christmas with her dog at home and having a Christmas tree and a cake and sparklers. And then there's also other scenes where she was going skiing on the ski slopes. So I thought she did really good with the song. It's not a song I'm not familiar with, but then I went to listen to the original and she sounded like pretty good, like very similar to it with the vocal. So I think she just did a good job with that. And I'm sure Twice they gave kind of the same reason for wanting to release something now, so just like cheer up onces and at this time of year. And I saw on the YouTube video that it said that this was part of the Melody Project, and I was like, oh, what is that? But apparently that's the name of the Twice solo projects, that they haven't even done them for a couple years, but this is, I guess maybe they're starting up again because that's going to be part of it, is Christmas songs.
We did one last year.
Yeah, I don't remember if it said it was part of that or not, but I mean, do covers count for solo projects? What do you think of the song?
I thought it was trash.
Didn't like it?
No. Last year's was better. It was nice that they made an actual video, but the song is not memorable or good. It's not her fault. It's an Ariana Grande cover, so whoever wrote it. And again, that's not even their fault necessarily. It's hard to make a memorable Christmas song, like I said. Again, if your English is not the best and you cover an English song, it's gonna make a difference. It doesn't make it trash or anything just because of that, but you know, it has a negative impact. So I don't think her English singing is quite good enough to cover a song that's 100% in English. And another blunt reality is that her vocal talent is not as good as Ariana Grande.
That's true. I mean,
I'm not saying that to insult her, because I actually hate Ariana Grande, but you'd have to be dumb to not acknowledge that she has more vocal ability than Nayeon, right? And so a lot of the songs, if a song is written for Ariana Grande, or if she picks it up, it most likely will be her type of song. It will show off her ability, and it will be tougher for other people to sing, is what I'm trying to say, because she has pretty good vocal ability. So that's a bad choice, on her part. It's just a bad choice, because she can't sing as well as Ariana Grande, and it's a foreign language to her.
Mm-hmm.
These are all hurdles. But again, it's just a fun treat for fans. It's not like her solo album or anything like that.
Yeah, I do appreciate when just surprise stuff gets released and it's not part of an album or anything. And I almost wonder like why they go through the effort of that, because that's still a lot of work to make a whole song. So I think that's nice to see. And I always like to hear Christmas songs. So even if there's like new versions of something that's already out, I'm glad to hear it. And there's a lot more covers and Christmas songs out there by K-pop groups than I even knew about, because I was just looking on Reddit and there's like all sorts of songs that I didn't know about that were out there. So I definitely think that they should visit the idea of doing BTS Christmas album, because now they have some original songs they can put on there and they can put the covers that I had suggested. So I think that is not such a crazy idea anymore, and they have enough English ability, I think, because I look back and like just randomly on YouTube, it's like suggesting to me like, oh, here's when they performed at this festival and they did a cover of whatever Christmas song. I was like, okay, well then they know that one and then they know that one, so they could probably put together enough for a Christmas album. The New York Post released a list of the 5 worst songs of 2020 on December 22nd, 2020. So before we talk about the offensive part of this list, let's talk about the other 4 songs that they said were the worst of 2020.
Well, those could be offensive too.
I think they didn't have a particular order, so we'll just talk about the other ones first.
I reserve the right to be offended.
Yeah. The first song they said, Iggy Pop, Dirty Little Virus.
I'm not offended. It did seem terrible.
I've never heard of this song, but I looked it up and apparently it's about COVID-19,
right.
Hence the title Dirty Little Virus. And if you're not aware, Iggy Pop is a rock star from the 70s.
Yeah, he's a very old rock star.
Yeah, so by now he's pretty up there in age. And
now who determined what the worst were though?
I
The
believe
writers at the New York Post?
it's just one writer, so...
Okay, so this is just one person's opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I agree that this song is pretty bad.
Pretty damn bad.
And I only ever heard of Iggy Pop from... I mean, I knew of him, but I've heard
I know of him.
on a song was when he did a Christmas song with Kylie Minogue. So that's one of the only times I've actually heard his voice. And yeah, his voice is shot now. He's like, sounds very like...
He sounds like an old man who has smoked a lot of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And consumed a ton of alcohol.
That song was not very good. So I can see why that's on the list. So...
What's the next one? We agree. It's not that great.
Yeah. The next one, Lady Gaga and Elton John, Sign from Above.
This is a pretty bad song, too. I thought it was bad.
I agree.
You're right.
I listened to Chromatica. I actually really liked that album. And that song was just so bad. And it's mostly because of Elton John. Like, he can't sing
Elton
anymore.
John is way past his prime.
Yeah. I don't know what he's done to his voice.
To be fair, when you get old, like, your voice is just one of those things. You can't expect it to keep its integrity. It's really not fair. But if you insist on singing into your dotage, it can produce some bad music.
People keep wanting to collab with him, and I think that's why he keeps popping up. And I'm sure he's making money still, but the voice quality is not there anymore.
No, it's not. So it's a fair criticism.
Yeah, I think Lady Gaga had some kind of a professional relationship with Elton John, because like she's worked with him before on other things, so this is probably like, oh well, I owe you, a collab, so that's what happened there. But I agree that is a bad song overall, so it does belong on this list. The next song, I don't know if this even counts as a song because it didn't have any singing on it, but it's the song from Bill and Ted Face the Music, the awesome rock song that was supposed to save the world. So it's Wild Stallions featuring the actual singers of that song.
Okay, so Wild Stallions. Now, full disclosure, I love the first two Bill and Ted's. I love those movies. I saw the third one. It was a garbage movie, but nostalgia carried me through, and I could stomach it at least.
It had some good moments.
And it's really hard to dislike any Keanu Reeves movie, right? I mean, he's just... I don't know. Is he the most popular person in America right now? Probably.
He's the most likable person.
Yeah, he's the most likable person.
Yeah, he does kind things.
Like, he gives a lot to charity. He gave a lot of his income from The Matrix to the stuntmen and stuff. He's very unselfish. He's just a very likable guy. And he makes cool movies. There's just, I don't know a single person who has anything bad to say about him, honestly. That's hard when you're so famous, okay? When you're famous... There usually are a ton of people who want to say bad things about you.
The haters come out.
Yes. And I literally know zero haters of Keanu Reeves. Does he always produce the greatest work? No.
That's okay. That's art.
Yeah. So the movie was middling, but worst song of the year? Okay, maybe. But I wouldn't put it there.
I don't think the song even stood out as anything. It sounded like kind of a standard rock song, like just the instrumental part of it, like just a lot of guitar playing and stuff. They didn't even sing, so I don't know what you could criticize about it. So I'm not sure why it's on this list. That's kind of puzzling. And the fourth song on here, Blackpink featuring Cardi B, Bet You Wanna. This is on Blackpink's album, the album that came out this year. And they kind of hyped it up because it was a collab with Cardi B.
Right.
But this was not a good song. It didn't have...
I didn't like it.
Good lyrics. It was just kind of like... It reminded me of other songs that were much better. Like just the... like there's certain phrases in there that's like, oh, I've heard that before, but in a different song that was better.
Correct.
And you think, oh, Cardi B's on it. It's going to be like really edgy and fun. But she really didn't bring her Cardi B energy to this song. It just sounded very plain.
Well, in fairness, she probably couldn't.
Yeah.
YG probably looked at what she wanted to do and said, we cannot be having Blackpink on a song talking about this.
Right.
Even though Blackpink is considered edgy and girl crush, remember the difference between the American music market and the Korean music market. Blackpink can never be on a song like WAP, okay?
Yeah.
Let's just be realistic about this. The cultural standards are different, and Blackpink will never be singing about their WAP. All right?
Ice cream is as edgy as they're going to get.
Ice cream with just light innuendo is really pushing the boundary over in Korea.
That's as far as they're going to go.
Listen to the lyrics of WAP and just think, would my favorite K-pop group sing these lyrics? The answer is no. It's absolutely unacceptable. They can never sing those kinds of lyrics. So, in fairness to Cardi B, she might have had some ideas that were very Cardi B, but she would definitely have been shot down. You can't, because remember, collaboration has to fit both parties.
Yeah, and they had the veto power, I'm sure.
Right.
Because it's their song.
So, did it have that flavor to it? No. But there's no way it would have been allowed, even if she wanted to bring it. In fairness to her.
She was hamstrung.
Right. She couldn't bring the Cardi B experience. I don't even think that's a great experience, but if you do think it's great, to be fair to her, she couldn't bring it. There's no way that collaboration would have allowed for it. So yeah, it was neutered. It was kind of tame by her standards.
And Cardi B pretty much admitted that she got censored because she posted some tweets that I found that they were actually pretty funny, like some more explicit lyrics for Bet You Want It. And obviously you can imagine what that involved, like more sexual things.
Right, of course.
Relating to Bet You Wanna. And I'll link them in the notes so you can see. But it was pretty funny. Like, and if she was able to include that, then maybe it would have been...
It would have been more of a Cardi B song. But see, that's not what they wanted.
Yeah.
So they just wanted to be able to attach her name, and it watered it down. But you could sort of ask, well, does this mean that the appeal of Cardi B is just salacious lyrics, just pushing the envelope constantly, as opposed to good musicianship? I'll let you be the judge.
But yeah, Bet You Wanna, the end result was not a good song. So I actually agree with that being on this list because from Blackpink's album, that one stood out in a bad way. It was like, oh, you expect a lot from it because it's a collab and it might be really good. And there was like much better rap on other songs from that album.
Right.
And then finally, the fifth song. This is the song that...
That's right. We've come to the main event.
Offended me about this whole article.
They said a BTS song.
They said a BTS song was one of the worst songs of 2020. And
which one?
Let me read the caption here. This is for Dis-Ease from their recent album B. They said, despite the pandemic, the South Korean septet had plenty of reason to celebrate in 2020, notching 3 #1 singles, breaking YouTube records, and generally running the world. But when Time Magazine's Entertainer of the Year decided to chime in on the coronavirus crisis with the cheesiest of puns, it was a major disservice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they even listened to the song, because all they did was comment on the title of it.
I'm sure they did listen to it at least once.
I didn't see any real criticism of the song.
Right.
Like, if you like hip-hop and you like J-Hope kind of songs, you would definitely like Dis-Ease.
Here's the thing. If they listen to the song, keep in mind, this is not one of my favorite songs, but it's also clearly not one of the 5 worst songs of the year. This is another situation you have to understand where a person writing an article, they were directed to include BTS somehow.
Right.
Because, as we all know, BTS equals clicks. So if you're writing a best song or whatever, or worst song, or whatever it is, you know what you need to do? Include BTS.
Yeah. I think,
because that equals clicks.
And even in the US, they're starting to learn that trick.
That's right. That equals clicks. That equals engagement. That equals everything that they want. So don't be too offended. I bet you they were just saying, we've got to include BTS. Which song? They don't want to pick one of the more popular ones because you just look like a total idiot. Like, what if they put Dynamite?
Right.
How could they defend that? It's like one of the more popular songs of the year. That's one of the worst songs of the year? No, you look totally stupid. So they picked just this B-side, whatever. This one. It's a BTS song, right? But I get to include BTS in my article and maybe in the headline, and then people will click on it.
Yeah, and then just make up some bogus reason why it's on there.
Whatever the reason is, but this is this is one of those situations where if you know how the sausage is made, then it kind of ruins some of it for you. But the person just realized they needed to include BTS somehow for clicks. So don't be too offended. They probably don't really believe in it that much, but At the same time, they did list it, so you can go ahead and tear into it. That's fine.
I also had to conclude that after thinking about the songs that were on here, it's like, well, they must have done that for clout because there's no other explanation.
Right. Now, the other songs, maybe also true, right? Like Blackpink, Cardi B. These are all, big names that you can get people to click through, right? The real worst songs of the year, honestly, the real worst songs of the year are probably from obscure people you never heard of, that like you never even bothered to listen to. Probably the worst song of the year is like from Kachi or something, right? But you wouldn't put that in an article because you want clicks.
And you want something people recognize.
Right. It can't be some obscure person that nobody recognizes. So don't be too offended, but yeah, it's certainly none of these, except Iggy Pop. We both hate Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
But it's mostly just for, clicks.
Exactly. In enlistment news, there's a couple of things that happened. So chronologically, the Ministry of Defense decided to reduce the time for mandatory military service from 21 months down to 18 months. And that was confirmed on December 16th. But I had thought they'd already reduced it, or sometimes people did 18 months anyway, just depending on where you chose to go. But maybe it's official now or something. But that's one thing that changed, that kind of just snuck in there.
Okay, so my thinking about I thought you mentioned it was 18 months already. So I was kind of the mind that it was 18 months. But it's not. It's just officially right now that it's 18 months.
Yeah, the Ministry of Defense confirmed that.
Well, I'll say what I said before. 18 months is, I think it's not that long. I think if everybody takes it together and you sort of plan it as well as you can, include maybe some slow times in there, if there are even any slow times in K-pop, it could fly by really quickly. So that's good. I was under the impression it could be 18 months already, but it's good to know that that's officially the case.
And the other thing was, well, I guess nothing happened, but there's a Korea Music Content Association had a response to that new law that passed that was extending the time for enlistment to age 30 for certain idols that qualify. So their comment, they said because of the criteria for that, the only entertainers who will be eligible for this law are BTS. And they said, we appreciate the government's recognition of the role of K-pop and everything, but is it realistic for other groups to be eligible for, extending the time of enlistment other than BTS? So I guess they're trying to advocate for other groups as well, but I mean, I don't know what to tell them, but it's like the whole point was because of BTS for that law.
Complaints that the enlistment law only benefits BTS, that's just sour grapes. Yeah, it does, because they're the ones that it's written for them. It's meant to benefit them. So, but then at the same time, what other group has done more than they have? It's, if you want people to write laws for you, then have a $3 billion impact on the South Korean economy, okay? And if you think that's easy, then go do it. Right? That's all it takes. That's all it takes to have a $3 billion impact on the South Korean economy.
Yeah.
And to say that, well, that's preferential treatment. You damn right it's preferential treatment. Certain people get preferential treatment in this world. If you're an adult and you've been living in this world for a little while, A, you're used to it, and B, you should be mature enough to understand that sometimes it's appropriate. And one of the situations where it's appropriate is when you have a $3 billion impact on your country's economy.
Yeah, that was my reaction, is because, some groups won't get to extend it the same as BTS, but then, like if you're some other group like Monsta X or GOT7 or whatever, and you went to enlist right now, that wouldn't cause any problem in the Korean economy.
Right.
And it's like, that's the purpose of this, is they don't want BTS going into enlistment and then a bunch of problems economically happen.
Right. They get special treatment because they matter more to the country. I'm sorry, but that is the blunt truth of it. And I know that people like to believe that nobody matters more than another person, but it's just not true. Why does the president get $50 to $100 million of Secret Service protection and I don't? Someone might kill me. I mean, it's not as likely, and there's fewer people who want to harm me. But here's the simple truth. the president of the United States matters more than me. Is that person more valuable as a human life than mine? I mean, in a religious sense, no. But in the eyes of the U.S. government, absolutely yes.
Yeah, we're not talking about philosophy.
Yeah, it's
like,
not like, one life is not
human
more
is equal.
valuable than another. Yeah, of course.
Of course, every human is.
Sure, morally, we're equal. But as far as how much money will we spend protecting Morgan's life versus how much money we're going to spend protecting the president's life, one person is going to get a lot more because they're more important than I am. And that's the same thing you have to deal with if you're a C-list K-pop star and you're wondering why BTS gets preferential treatment. Nobody likes to say it because it's an unpleasant thing to say. That person, we spend a lot more money on them because they're more important. That person, we wrote 3 different laws delaying and minimizing their enlistment. You know why? Because they are more important than you, right? That's why they did the whole, hey, not just every K-pop star, only K-pop stars who've met these thresholds. Why did they write that? In order to specify BTS, not just that other K-pop star. At least they did it in an objective threshold, so that therefore it's not about BTS. It's about people who reach that level. So were you to reach that level, you could also qualify. I think that's fair. It would be a much worse law if they just wrote BTS's individual names and was like, this law is about these 7 guys.
Yeah, or if they said, this committee or whatever will decide yes or no, and you can apply for that.
Right.
And it's subjective.
At least it had an objective measure and said, you have to reach this level. But yeah, it's only going to benefit people who reach their level. And as of right now, only they have reached that level. But theoretically, another K-pop group could.
And this,
they would get the same benefits.
This KMCA was talking about, well, if the criteria is who received a presidential order of cultural merit, then that's only going to be, it's like Lee Soo Man, Psy, BTS. And then the average age of people that got this honor is like 67 years old. Like, if you look at everybody who got it, and it's like, that's, so whoever is like some future K-pop group, it's going to be,
you have to get it when you're young.
Super difficult to get it. And before enlistment time happens. So they're like, hey, that's impossible. Well, BTS got it, so that's what we're saying is like it's only used for unique situations, That's why they made that the cutoff.
Yes, I know that's tough to hear. They wrote a law so that some people could get preferential treatment, but at least you could see the reasoning. You could see, well, they have such an amazingly positive impact on the South Korean economy. Do you? And is that fair? That's a subjective argument. Maybe you don't think it's fair. But I can tell you this, it's certainly practical. By my accounting, by my math, that means you lost the argument. Right? Deal with it.
And I do think there is some bitterness involved because I've been hearing about all the other record labels that are not big hit. They're trying to have these meetings and they're trying to lobby for getting exemptions and stuff. And it's like, oh, well, BTS just got this handed to them and they didn't even and they didn't participate in any meetings like that. So it's like, wow, why do they get this like special treatment? And it's like, it's because it was necessary because of their impact.
I mean, I would agree with the other companies. I do think that, a wider range of K-pop artists do enough to impact society and the economy that they should get some sort of consideration. I do think so. I think there should be other stuff, even exemptions. But they didn't make those. And they made the standard very high. And clearly so that only one group would qualify for it. So I do agree with them that it should be expanded, but I don't agree that it's unfair. It's just they set a high standard, so.
Yeah, it seems like the government is pretty good with how the law is now, mostly.
Yeah, they're not going to expand it, I don't think so.
Just a couple of exceptions that they want to make, like for BTS.
Or potentially a group that is as big as them.
Yeah, and maybe that whole decreasing the time down to 18 months is part of the result of these record labels. Maybe they're the ones pushing for that.
Yeah, and like I said, 18 months is a really good number. I really think that a whole group can just knock it out together, and you'll almost not feel it. I don't, it will be a bit of a wait, but before you know it, your favorite group will be back. And again, in America, that's no time at all. People usually go 3 years between albums, so it would be not even noticed, honestly.
On December 22nd, there's an article published by a media outlet called the Hankiori, in which a journalist said there would be no BTS without Lee Soo Man. And this article covered kind of the history of Korean music and how they tried to make it in other markets. And it was giving a lot of credit to Lee Soo Man because he spread K-pop into other countries in Asia and then started expanding into the US. I don't know how far he got with that, but it was giving him a lot of credit for that. And basically it was saying because he used the model of having the way they have groups and trainees and everything very organized, and the company manages all of that, and they kind of copied the Motown model. And so this journalist was giving Lee Soo Man credit for that whole process, which then other record companies started doing the same thing and using that formula. So I don't know if you could say point from A to B and it's like, okay, Lee Soo Man, and then that's why BTS is where they are today. I mean, I'm sure he's a part of it, just like the whole K-pop industry is. A lot of people made incremental steps, and maybe this journalist is just a very pro-SM person or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, of course, this article just like angered a lot of ARMY, and I think maybe it was clickbait a little bit because it wasn't even really about BTS. It was kind of about Lee Soo Man. It was just mentioned them at the end and what his impact was on K-pop industry going into the international markets.
Well, yes, that's exactly what happened. This writer was tasked to write a story about Lee Soo Man, which is fine. He's an important figure.
Yeah.
But then the publication said, we also want to sell more and we want people to click on this article. So I mentioned BTS somehow, and then they did. That's what happened. So if you're really upset, maybe it helps to know that the writer doesn't really believe it all that much. They were just told to include BTS somehow and tie it into the story.
Yeah, and it was only mentioned in the title and then at the very end of this article.
So don't even be angry at that person because I'm not even sure they believe it. If you're angry that they dared to even say it, well, they did technically write it. So I guess you can be angry at that. And whether it's true or not, well, I guess in some ways it technically is true because yes, he was like one of the forerunners. He was a trailblazer in starting K-pop, right?
Right.
And the system and the industry, maybe the industry itself wouldn't be there if not for him. Of course, all those things are hard to say. Like, who knows what would have happened if the X historical event went the other way, right? Who knows? So it's hard to say that, this BTS would never occur if not for him. That's difficult to say. It is fair to say that the industry owes a lot to him. And they benefit from the industry existing. That's true.
I wasn't aware that, I guess, is this a fact that Lee Soo Man is responsible for the whole agency system of...
I believe it is.
Okay.
Yeah. For good or bad, the way K-pop is sort of like a factory system,
the way it's organized
is very much his doing, I think.
Get the trainees really young,
right,
and then manage everything.
Right, as opposed to, how it is in let's say, America, where they kind of want you to be a finished product, and then they say, okay, we'll sign you to something.
Like, you have to kind of earn it to be signed.
You have to be a finished product
in
a lot of ways. Whereas in Korea, you definitely don't have to be a finished product. Yeah, nobody's signed as a finished product. There's no, I don't want to say no because I don't know. Of course, there may be exceptions. But is there anybody who just writes really good music and is a good singer, but makes it to the age of 30 and then just stumbles into SM and says, hey, can you sign me to a contract? I have talent. No, I don't think that ever happens, right?
No.
But in the West, we do have something like Ed Sheeran happening.
That happens all the time.
And that is his exact story, right? He's just like this bum. Nobody gives him money. Nobody thinks he's anything. He has to go for years and years having faith in his own talents. And then finally a company says, oh yeah, okay, we'll give you a contract.
He had to be out there and struggle.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in the K-pop industry. You're picked when you're young and you're developed, like a sport.
Right.
Like in baseball baseball and soccer both have like minor league teams where they develop young people, and then you go through the system, and then when you're 22 and hey, I'm in the professional league, nobody just plays baseball or soccer on their own, and at 25 or 28 they stroll into their local team and they say, hey, why don't you give me a shot? I'm pretty good at this sport that you guys do. Does that happen? That doesn't happen in sports. People are chosen young and they're developed from the young age, and they go through a system, and then that's K-pop. But that's not how it is in the West. So yeah, he deserves credit for that, but that doesn't mean BTS wouldn't happen if he didn't exist. The individuals in BTS still would have been born. I think the individuals all enjoy music and would have maybe trended towards, some of them maybe not, right? But a lot of them do enjoy music, I'm assuming, and they would have gravitated towards that. So we don't know they wouldn't have. Probably they wouldn't have at such an early age been formed into a boy group though. If they didn't have this sort of factory system in Korea. They would have to find their way into music alone, What
they were saying at the end of this article was that JYP, he said he had fallen from the SM audition to JYP, and then Bang PD worked with JYP, remember, at his company, and then BTS came from them, but then they came from SM is what he was trying to say. So it's like, oh, there's the direct link there. It's like,
right.
Well, I mean, everybody learns from everybody in this industry, It's like you got to start someplace and then branch out. It's like,
right.
I don't think that's saying like, oh, Lee Soo Man, because he existed, that's why BTS is where they are today.
Yeah, I don't think that's a fair statement, but don't be too upset about it, because again, this writer just had to tie in the word BTS into his article. I'm sure his editor instructed him to do that. If you're writing this excellent article about Lee Soo Man and you work hard on it, and your editor rolls in and says, yeah, it's fine, but you know what would make people click on it more? If you somehow integrated BTS into it. Make it happen. What are you going to do? It's your boss. You're going to say no? No, you're going to say yes. Here's the result. You get this weird article that's mainly about Lee Soo Man, but somehow the title has something about BTS. And
he added this last paragraph. Like,
right.
That's the only part where it even mentions BTS.
Right. The last paragraph can be added in 20 minutes, at midnight before the deadline. I bet you that's what happened. I bet it was late notice too, because if it was early notice, he might have integrated them a little bit better, and then this is what you get.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And it's like, oh, that's not just a minor tweak. That's change the whole focus
like, but this thing
it.
Isn't even about BTS. How do I add them into it? You figured that out.
It's like, anyways, good night.
Yeah. That's your job, not mine. Yeah, that's what happened.
And it got a lot of negative reaction, but maybe that was the whole point.
Maybe they don't even care. Maybe negative reactions, just the engagement is good either way. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
But they got what they wanted out of you. They manipulated you. I mean, if did you go to their website and write an angry comment? That's engagement, by the way. People like that. Yeah, angry engagement is engagement, believe it or not. So by a lot of metrics, that's all good too. If you really, really dislike it, just ignore it.
Lauryn Hill is a YouTuber who posts videos about celebrity plastic surgery, and she had started a series of K-pop videos, starting with Lisa from Blackpink a few months ago, where she talked about what surgeries she thought Lisa might have gotten. And this week she posted 2 more videos of Blackpink members, Jennie and Rose. So when she posted the Lisa one, there was like a ton of threats from angry K-pop fans that didn't like what she was saying. And so at the beginning of this video, these 2 videos, she had a disclaimer like, if we get any threats, I'm going to report to the FBI and follow up on that. And
because she got threats.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, I know how fans can be sometimes. They get pretty angry and just send a lot of angry messages. I don't know if they were like serious threats or if they were just like,
I mean, probably they weren't serious, but still, you should not be threatening people or their families online. I don't know, this goes without saying that you shouldn't. But I did notice that too. And then I looked at some of her other videos, and none of her other videos include that disclaimer.
Yeah.
Like her video talking about Haley Baldwin her video talking about Cardi B.
I guess
She did not have to have that disclaimer, which is
those fans are making threats.
this is not a great look for K-pop fans. I'm not, or K-pop or Blackpink fans or Blinks.
We don't know.
It's not a really good look, guys.
Everybody needs to relax. It's just
So like, there's other fandoms out there. There's Cardi B fans. Apparently, none of them sent death threats or anything. I don't know. I don't know what the case is. No, yeah, I bet zero did. Actually, come to think of it, part of it is that I'm pretty sure that Cardi B fans are totally at peace with the fact that she's had plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Because she mentions it openly. So I'm pretty sure nobody would be offended by that. As far as Hailey Baldwin, I don't think there are any Hailey Baldwin fans. Why would you be a fan of that woman?
That's true.
She's a daughter of somebody and she married Justin Bieber. That's all she is. There's a video about J-Lo. There were no death threats apparently in that one. They're J-Lo fans. Yeah, this is pretty much as a cross to bear for Blinks. It's on you because apparently you're the only fandom that has been sending death threats.
You got to remember, this is just for entertainment value and, just a video on YouTube.
Hey, who cares if this American woman on YouTube says that your favorite got plastic surgery? What is she threatening? What can be lost because she is doing this?
It's like
what will be damaged? I don't know what is your thinking here.
And she doesn't have any inside information.
No,
she's just using
she's guessing
her knowledge of interpreting photos and stuff.
What she's saying is speculation. It's not fact. So what I'm trying to say is she's not violating HIPAA laws or anything like that, okay? She's looking in people's faces. And again, that's not a negative thing. I'm of the mind that this is your profession. So absolutely, go ahead and get work done. Do what you have to do. There's no shame in it. I wish people would just be more open about it so that there would be no stigma and people wouldn't be acting all crazy when people talk about this stuff as well. Everybody could just be a more mature adult about this topic, right? And I think we're all in agreement that sending death threats to YouTubers is not under the umbrella of being a mature adult. But let's move on. What did you say people got done, Jennie and Rose?
When she first did the Lisa video, I think she started with Lisa because she had probably the most things done.
Yes. You could tell from her before pictures.
And so I think that was like an easier one to tackle right off the bat because there's like multiple things you could talk about. So then I think she went with Jennie and Rose next. Mm-hmm. They had fewer things done. And in fact, the Jennie video was only like 7 minutes or so. So it wasn't very long. But what she thinks that Jennie had was eyelid surgery, some subtle nose changes, lip filler, possibly she gotten fat removed from her cheeks. She had very like chubbier cheeks before.
Yeah, I think she got that.
That one I can see because before
her cheeks
picture
look very square.
Yeah. And it was like extended all the way like to the side. And then
they shaped her jaw for sure. Not the bone, but I think they should remove fat.
Yeah. There's a lot you could do there with trying to get the jawline more defined. Possible chin filler and then gum contouring to like make her have less of a gummy smile when smiling.
So they like remove some of your gum?
I think it's like you take out some so that more of your teeth show instead of gum. Or there's another thing you can do where
that doesn't sound healthy.
There's also like if you get Botox on like the upper part of your lip, then that can like relax it more, and so it's like when you smile, like less of your lip goes up. So they might have had that. She might have had that done. Because
like your gums are there to hold your teeth in place.
Yeah, but sometimes there's too much gum, so if you have to like cut some of it out, then to make it look
I see. Sounds painful.
More typical.
Right.
So the total for
I could see that. Yeah, and her face looked a lot chubbier.
Yeah,
when she was young.
I didn't notice that much of a difference.
And don't say like, well, that's when she was a kid. Like, well, guess what? She was also like a kid when she got into Blackpink. Don't act like she was a 25-year-old woman when she got into the group, right?
Yeah, and it's like your cheeks don't disappear like months later.
Exactly. So, yeah, she got that work done. And good for her. She is now one of the preeminent stars in K-pop, okay? So,
I think a lot of times people want to say it because they don't believe it because it's hard to see any change. It's like mostly subtle things. But
I mean, it's hard to see change. Look at the before and afters.
Yeah.
They're different. Watch the video. I looked at it and just said, oh, yeah. You could see immediately from the before and afters what was happening. So they all get work done, guys. I am almost certain that they all get work done. Especially when you consider that when they're trainees and they debut, they're controlled by the company. The company, of course, they're gonna. I'm gonna make an analogy here. It's very esoteric, but in television, when you want to make a TV show, let's say you're just like a producer and you have a production company, you want to make a TV show. What you have to do is you have to make a pilot. That's just the first episode, right?
Right.
And then you have to bring that pilot to Netflix, to CBS, to NBC, and then you're asking them if they want to buy it.
Before you make any more.
Yeah, you don't have the money to make 20 shows. You need to make one and then show them, and then when they buy it, then they'll give you the money to make the rest, the first season, right?
Right.
And then they'll renew you for the second season and the third and the fourth, hopefully. That's how making TV shows works, okay? Generally. So when you make a TV show, you make that pilot, you'll cast it with generally these are the people you want, the actors that you want. I mean, you made the whole show, so these are the people you want, obviously. But once a network says, yeah, we want to buy this, make 20 more episodes of this show, here's some money, they will always stipulate one change they want to make. They'll always say, recast this one person, change this one thing, because there's somebody there who wants to, I don't know, show their value, and then their creative input. And it's like, yeah, it's good, but we know better than you how to make TV shows. So here, change this one thing. Even if they loved your pilot, because the idea is that you can't possibly have made the perfect pilot. This can't possibly be perfect as is. I feel like that's the same way with K-pop. Like, even if you walk into and become a trainee and you are beautiful and really there's nothing that needs to be changed about you, somebody there will still say, yeah, you're right, this person's absolutely beautiful, but they could do with this. Right. So do this one thing, even though that one thing probably isn't even necessary.
And these K-pop companies, they really focus on the face because that's all they had changes on. Because
no, I don't think that's true. They don't let you get fat either. I think that's just assumed, though. Right.
Well, because Lauryn Hill was looking for any body surgery, and she said it didn't look like they had any. But
like breast implants and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think they do that. But yeah, they don't get procedures, but they do make you stay a certain weight.
I think they just ask you to be a certain weight.
Yeah, you need to be in shape. And that just fits. I think that fits like Korean beauty standards, so that's fine. Mm-hmm. But if this were an American company, I bet you anything they would have body work done.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we look at here.
More so than there, yes.
So the total of Jennie's hypothetical surgeries is $11,200, which that didn't even sound like that much money to me.
Not a lot of money, no.
For these couple of things that she possibly got done. Mm-hmm. And then for Rose, it was like $21,600. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of the similar procedures, except maybe more done on the nose and then more on the eyes, because she thought that maybe Rose got something on her inner eye done and also on the outer part of the eye to like increase it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, otherwise very similar things, and also veneers, which seems to be expensive, and possibly chin liposuction, because if you look at Rose's profile, she has like a very nice profile, like everything's in balance and very defined. So all of it was very subtle.
Well, it's subtle changes procedures that make the whole. So
yeah.
Again, don't have a problem with it. Good for them. It is unfortunate that you're making a bad name for K-pop fans if you're reacting so negatively to this. That's the other puzzling thing to me, because they just really want their favorites to just be naturally beautiful. I can only assume that's the logic, right?
Yeah, and maybe they also think this YouTuber is targeting Blackpink, but I bet you she'll get to other groups later on anyway to discuss.
But she's not. She talked about American stars first for years.
Yeah.
She's only been talking about K-pop now as they got popular.
Just recently.
Yeah. And American stars, by the way, get more procedures. Yeah. So there's more to talk about.
And the fans here talk about everybody's stuff anyway. Yeah. It's like, oh, what did Kim Kardashian do?
Yeah.
It's just a common thing to discuss. Right. It's not like, how dare you say that about her?
I think the problem is that other stands get into fights with other stands. And I guess maybe one of the lines of attack that is often used, I don't know, because I don't get in stand wars. I don't travel in those circles. I guess one of the lines of attack is maybe somebody will say, well, your bias isn't really even beautiful. They got plastic surgery. That's all, right?
Right.
That's maybe a line of attack. But keep in mind that Lauryn Hill is not trying to attack anybody. She's not saying your favorite isn't beautiful. In fact, I think she acknowledges, like, yeah, these girls are all beautiful. They just got a little touch-up work, you know? That's all. So what? They would have been beautiful still before, but, you know, maybe not quite as much, or they wouldn't quite conform to the expectations of the industry. She's not saying they're ugly people without these procedures, okay?
Right. And if you're on camera a lot, everything is noticed. So it's like everything has to be perfected.
She's most certainly not saying that. She's just an expert in plastic surgery, so she has a channel talking about it. But I can see that when you are in a fight with other stands or other fandoms, then they maybe use that as a line of attack. Yeah. But it's a dumb line of attack.
Throw that in there.
It's a dumb line of attack because just like we said, everybody gets work done. Also, it's not wrong to get work done. Also, getting work done doesn't mean you aren't beautiful. Your face is your face, however it came to be, right? That's like saying, wow, you're not really that muscular. You only are that muscular because you worked out a lot. It's like, yeah, because I worked out a lot. So that's how you get muscular, guys, right? What is the logic there?
Like, so are you supposed to stay the same?
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into becoming anything. And, you know, and when you're a K-pop star, part of your appearance, the quote-unquote work that goes into it is plastic surgery. And I want to point out, like I said before, if anybody wants to say, well, then you cheated. It was too easy for you to become beautiful. Okay, then go have plastic surgery yourself and see how pleasant that experience is. And then tell me if it feels like cheating to you. Because it's an actual surgery, guys. You know that, right? Especially like a nose job. Nose job, they like carve up your nose and break it and shift it. Your face is in pain afterwards. It is a lot to go through. They have to sacrifice for this.
It's not something that's like you're healed then a couple days later.
No, it's not. So, you know, they paid their dues for it. That's what I'm trying to say. They paid their dues. Give them credit. And then you might say, well, anybody can do that if they had the money. Like, that's true. But do you have the money? Did you convince a K-pop company to shell out $20,000 to fix, you know, your face? No, you didn't. These people did. So it's still part of them earning it, right? They earned that part of that process. They had to show talent in order for a company to invest in them.
Right.
You know? And then on top of that, they had to go through the pain of going through it. They had to make that payment in pain. I don't think that's cheating. I don't think that's a shortcut.
If you go watch these videos on her channel, there's another video there where she goes through her own facelift and like she recorded it and like her recovery and all that. So if you want to get an idea of what you look like for days and weeks afterwards, it's a lot.
It's not like it just zaps and then boom, it's all good. No. Yeah, you should respect the sacrifice. You should respect the work that's put into it. I mean, if anything, if somebody's just naturally beautiful and doesn't ever need work, isn't that the easiest? They didn't have to do anything. That's the easiest, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't think anybody's looking down on stars who had surgeries. They shouldn't, but they all did. I can almost guarantee you they all did. You dredge up their before photos. I'm almost certain they all did. Maybe some didn't, but whatever. Maybe Psy didn't.
Psy.
But the vast majority of them did, you know? Especially the ones you find most beautiful. That I can almost guarantee you.
Yeah. And speaking of Blackpink, we're at the time of the year with all the end of the year Korean award shows. So I was just trying to think about why the majority of the bigger groups attend these because they're nominated for awards or they're performing, but we never see Blackpink at these award shows anymore, at least the last 2 or 3 years, I think, from how long I've been paying attention to K-pop. Do you have an idea of why they don't go to these anymore? Do they think it's not worth it, or is it like a strategy?
No, I don't know. My impression was that it's due to how do I say this? It's due to general disarray of YG as a company. That was my impression.
Oh, okay.
They've been having scandals and they've been reshuffling the corporate structure. It just seems to be disorganized. I'm pretty surprised that they had such a strong year for Blackpink amidst all of that. But I think that's part of it. And also, I don't know a lot about this. Other people who are longtime K-pop fans will know, but didn't YG/Big Bang have issues with some of the award shows? Because I know there were some openly negative statements made about them.
Right.
Like Big Bang has made openly negative statements about them.
Didn't agree with
how they're conducted and whatever.
They thought maybe it was rigged or something, or like the votes weren't accurate or whatever it was.
This might be a holdover from that. That's my guess.
Do you think it could also be part of the Burning Sun scandal? They're trying to stay away from certain events because of that still? Because there's like stigma against YG?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Remember when... Although, do people still care about that? I don't know, but...
people got like convicted and stuff already, so...
Yeah, they move on, you know? The process has played out. But you remember there were stories about how people didn't want Winner to perform.
Yeah,
that's like,
right.
oh, that's a YG group, even though they have nothing to do with this controversy.
Right.
It might be. Keep in mind that this is Korea, so we don't have our finger on the pulse of culturally what they are thinking.
Like to us, it seems that's over.
To us, it's like, well, that's over with. We wouldn't even care that much in the first place.
Maybe there's still a grudge,
right? Like, okay, if some members of the company had legal issues, then of course pursue those legal issues. But what does that have to do with Blackpink? What does it have to do with the Winner? We separate those in our mind. But maybe that's not the case in Korea. Yeah, maybe they're shunned. That's possible. Oh, no, because Blackpink still goes on. They still win like weekly shows.
The music shows.
Yeah, they still go on those.
I just thought maybe before I thought about all the scandals and all that stuff, I thought maybe it's because they just have a strategy. They think maybe we don't go to everything. Let's just show up at certain things and then kind of maximize our exposure. And then if we have paid concerts and stuff like that, then we're more likely to get fans pay for that because it's going to be more rare to see Blackpink perform somewhere. Maybe.
I don't think that's it necessarily. They do go on shows, right?
They do.
Maybe it's that Blackpink is big. They're big now. They're just too busy. Keep in mind, when Korean award show season comes around, don't they have like 22 award shows? So it's just way too many. And what is the benefit for them at that point? Because Blackpink is not a Korean group anymore. Blackpink is a worldwide group. So to spend so much time, it takes time for these award shows. They have to
wait
rehearse.
around.
They have to be in that area. They have to go do it, right?
Yeah.
It takes something out of them. They could be touring, or now they're not touring, but they could be, going and shooting ads. I know they have lots and lots of endorsements.
They could have a paid gig somewhere.
Yeah, they could be making appearances. Their time could be used in a lot of different ways that I would agree. It's better used than going on the 10th Korean award show of the season. For what purpose? To win some Korean awards? They're not a Korean group.
They don't get paid.
They're not even a Korean group anymore. Honestly, they're not. They're an Asian group. And they're more popular. I'm pretty sure they're more popular in Southeast Asia than in Korea. I believe that's the case, right? They're more popular in America than Korea at this point. I'm pretty sure that's true. And they're still popular in Korea, but they're not the most popular.
Right. They're going to have commitments in other places.
Like Twice has been the most popular for a while, and we know that Blackpink has been the most popular here in America for a while, meaning a year or a year and a half or two. Their time is better spent elsewhere. Not doing like 6 Korean award shows, which takes a lot of energy and effort. That's all there is to it, I think. Although, if that same argument could be applied to BTS, and they show up to more award shows than them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why. For that, I cannot explain.
I do think we have to look at YG being disorganized, because I forgot about that.
That's another part of it. Yeah, they're just disorganized. If they were more organized, wouldn't Somi have more than 2 songs in 2 years?
Yeah.
She has 2 MVs in 2 years, correct?
Not even a full album.
Just a misuse of her.
But I think we forgot that YG was disorganized because it's like, oh, Blackpink came out with their album and like that went well and everything. So we thought,
Right.
oh, they're competent again.
But it took 3 years for that to happen.
It's like they're still probably
And
not
then we'll see what
well
happens
run.
in 2021.
Yeah.
Will they build on that momentum, or will they just, fall into typical disarray? We'll see. But being disorganized is part of it, I think.
I guess the answer to this question is just multiple things.
Yeah, and it's, again, also it's not that big of a deal either way. It's okay that they're not at the award shows, although it is unfortunate because they're such a big group.
I would want to see them do some different stages. You know how you always get special ones? It's like you know, this group plus this other group, or you're doing a cover of something, or
Right.
Something different. But yeah, you don't get that.
But again, those stages, they take work.
Yeah.
They take work, and YG doesn't make money off Blackpink doing those things. They
Right.
make money off Blackpink going to Paris Fashion Week. Or not, they don't make money off of that, but then they get an endorsement, right? And that's where YG makes money. So that's what they're doing. That's where they go. And I can't fault them. That's how they make money. I think Blackpink, they have so many endorsements.
It's more their brand is
Yeah, they're
more
like
about
fashion icons
fashion and luxury.
now. And I have to imagine they're making tons of money from that. That's not how ITZY makes its money.
I
So
guess-
ITZY, well, they didn't even go to these award shows, but that's not how, Eyes One makes money.
I guess you have to go with where you're needed and like where your specialty is.
So that's why they don't do it, because it's not their job. It doesn't make the company any money. That's a logical reason.
That makes sense. Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can find BTS Happy Hour on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, Castbox, Deezer, Listen Notes, and iHeartRadio. New episodes weekly. To support the podcast, please comment and share on social media, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, or give us a rating on your podcast app. Follow BTS Happy Hour on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also go to the website at btshappyhour.com. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.